Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Well, hello, welcome back. It's week two on the Oblivion Bubbleship build, and had an interesting weekend. A gentleman by the name of Fred Lewis over at Minuteman Model Works contacted me. Had watched the first episode apparently, and contacted me, wanting to know if I would like a Jack figure to go in this into this Bubbleship. He had been working on a standing and sitting Jack figure to go with the Oblivion drone kit, and I wasted no time. I immediately said yes, please, sir. How can I do this? So he sent me a file, and I spent a good chunk of the weekend experimenting in my devious lab, getting it down to the right size is the issue. And you can see I've got quite a few spare jacks. I've got a full house here. I've got jacks over jacks. An interesting thing, in your off hours, go to the IMDb, look up Tom Cruise, and see how many movies he has been in where his character was named Jack. It is an astounding number for an odd coincidence that most of the time when he's in a movie, outside of playing Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible, most of the time his character is named Jack. Jack Reacher, Jack Ryan, Jack Harper in this case, even Jack in Legend, he played a character named Jack. It's just one of those odd coincidences, but I digress. So he sent me this figure, and I got to tell you, the face sculpt on this is scary good. I mean, it's a wonderful sculpture to start with, but the face on that is scary good as far as looking like Tom Cruise. Now, this is close, but it's not the right pose. And so I've been spending the day kind of hacking bodies up. So, yeah, it's a bit macabre. But I've been hacking bodies up to get him into the right pose. And let me pull the chair out of here. One thing I did notice going through all of this is that these foot pads, I believe, are A, a little too large, and B, up a little too high. I think they should be down lower, and I think they should be about 75% of that size. But I don't think Randy ever intended on putting a figure in there. So they look good if you're not going to do a figure, but if you are, you can see immediately that they are a little bit wrong. No slight on Randy on that, but I've worked the top half of Jack to this point. As you can tell from the original start, I had to make him a little bit bigger than this, but particularly the left hand is in a different position than the one we had, so I had to bring it out a little bit and pivot his wrist there to work the actual control. And right now I'm happy with this much of him, but I need to get his legs to cooperate and to fit the stirrups there. So I'm going to have to probably mostly resculpt those just to get the knees bent up as much as they need to be, and his ankles bent to fit the stirrups. That's why I'm toying with the idea of maybe redoing those foot pads just to make it a little bit easier. But you can see I've got the foot pads on the metal, or this is like a brass rod here. And again, this is how Randy has everything set up, and it could stand to be if I cut a chunk maybe out of this stock here and lowered those down, that might be the way to go. So let me pop this out. There's only so many times I want to do this, because I know each time I do it I am risking something going horribly, horribly wrong. It's meant to flex far enough that you can fit it inside the cage, but you don't want to press your luck on it. Okay, there's no pleasant way of putting this, but the time has come to put our balls in a vise. I want to get the big engines attached. And to do that, I'm thinking the best way to do that is to put them in position as they need to go, like such, and then put a big old clamp over them, and then let the CA go into the crack from the outside. I'm thinking maybe if I did a light buttering of 5-minute epoxy just on this part, not on the spots where it rotates, not on this out here, not on the inside edge, but just these two edges, top and bottom. Just a light buttering, and then vise it together. Once again, you can never have too many clamps. Yes, I'm just trying to keep the ball that even around that seam. You'll remember that was the piece I had to replace with the master because the cast one was a little divoty. So this one went exactly to plan. This one needed a little extra helping. So we're going to let these set. We're going to let the 5-minute epoxy set for a good hour or so before we come back. And then we're going to come back, and luckily on the actual thing, on the actual Bubbleship, this seam is prominent. It's not meant to disappear. So as long as we can keep it clean, we're in good shape. We don't have to pretend it doesn't exist. Okay, we're back from lunch, and we're ready to declamp. So we'll just start taking them off. I'm not hearing any cracking. That's a good sign. Usually means they've gone and fallen off by themselves. Yeah, all the clamps are off. That was easy. The big test will be to see if they will still turn. Yeah, that still turns. It's not cracking. Yeah, okay, one crack there. Oh, yeah, okay, that's still turning. And where's my sticking point? No, it's still, it didn't come apart. It's got a big gap there, but it didn't come apart. So that will still turn. That's good. That's good. We will be able to fill in that big seam now. Oh, look at the paint coming off. Yeah, see? Yeah, might as well make it miserable. Might as well make it miserable for me. Paint came off. It's going to have to be repainted anyway, but it's not something I was looking forward to doing. Okay, we're going to put this to the side. Clean up all these clamps and whatnot. And give it a little bit of a sanding on this seam. And what I'd like to do is, let's get these out of the way. But what I'd like to do is get this sanded and prepare it for filling in with some epoxy. Actually, I think we're going to use the UV epoxy and let that set up while I go back to working on the jack figure for the cockpit. I am back at the cockpit ball now, and I've got the new foot pedals in now. I did take the sander to those and just ever so slightly shrink them down by sanding out the outside edges of everything. And we do have a chair now that will clear all of those posts. And it only took breaking that and offsetting it just a wee bit to make it work. And I'm hoping that's nothing that a little blending and black paint won't cover. But we've got the feet moved down a little bit. I think they're a little bit further down. If you look at it from the side now, they aren't as high up as they were. It still gets the top of the where Elvis would be standing, or Bob. It still gets him up there where he would be in Jack's line of sight. But it does move the feet down a bit. So now we can resume work on getting Jack's legs put in place. Now I've got his torso the way I like it. That's the way I like it. Thank you, KC and the Sunshine Band. Once we get his hand back in the joysticks are both lined up like that. That's how it should be. Now all I have to do is make his legs match the available space. Now they're also going to have to kind of both come in from the side. That's not bad. Ooh, that's not bad at all. It's a little high, yeah, but outside of taking some length off of his leg, I can't think of a better way of doing that. And I think that's a fine place to leave it for today. I finally got Jack in the chair. I've got his feet on the stirrups the way I like them, and I had to resculpt his thighs to make everything kind of match in the middle. They're a little short, but hopefully you don't notice as much since he is sitting down that they are kind of out of proportion with the rest of them. Hopefully by the time I get it painted, it will help a lot. Now, it is just sitting in there, and I'm going to let this epoxy sculpt dry overnight, and then maybe see if I can go around the back side and give him some buttocks. He seems to be missing some. But then, of course, these feet pedals here, since we don't have any co-pilot, they can just kind of be in the off position, and I can glue those or spot CA those in place. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? It is Tuesday, and work is picking up speed on the Oblivion Bubbleship. I had to do something that I really wasn't looking forward to doing or having to do this way, but it turned out that was what I have to do. Is I have to paint Jack. I had to paint Jack in place. I was hoping to be able to get him up out of the chair, but the epoxy that I put on his legs, or made his legs out of yesterday, has dried to the seat. Now the good thing is he's in the correct position. He's where he needs to be. But as you can see, when I started to take him out of the chair, I got as far as getting some of his legs off, and that's as far as I've got. Now the good thing is I can paint him in place if I can get the legs back in spot. That's where they need to be, and frankly, it does make it easier to paint with his legs off. All I got to do is put the boots back in place, and I'm good to go. But I was hoping to be able to paint him outside of. I still have like one more whitish highlight pass to do over top of that. But look at that sculpt. That's a scary, like I said yesterday, that's a scary good Tom Cruise sculpt. I found this great video on YouTube, and it's got scenes from the movie, but it's more a behind the scenes about the Bubbleship itself, and it does great things for me. Like, it tells me that his fingers are open in those gloves and things like that. A nice detail of what those overhead switch buttons look like. Let me see. I want to go a little bit further in, and here we can see this is the ship in a warehouse, the actual physical full-sized one in a warehouse without studio lighting or any of that kind of stuff, so we can really see the color of things and how they relate. And it tells me wonderful things like, you know, as much as you think something is white, it's not really white. I mean, it's dirty white or it's off white, or what parts are silver, what parts are black. This whole area back in here, now this is reflected, but this is silver up in here. You can get a good idea of, you know, things that are how they look statically without, you know, the interference of it being a shot in a movie. Here we can see a clean view of the interior, the silver on the door frame with the black gasket around it. This is actually, okay, so we've got black, then white, then black, then silver. That's good to know. I can go back in and repaint those. I had them all white, but they don't need to be all white. White is going to be the hardest paint color to keep clean. So I'm kind of glad I can minimize some of that. Here we see the inside of the bubble. Inside of that window is all black. It's all black from the inside, so I don't need to worry about trying to paint that black. Let's find. There we go. There's a. Oops. Let's go back and find that picture. Why do I keep zipping past that? Let me see.
Okay, so we listened to.
There we go. That's the view I want. You can see how everything looks black in here. We have a silver bit. Oh, the front of that needs to be white, and there needs to be a silver trim on the seat. Things like that I'm finding out. The foot pads, I have them painted silver now, but they need to be white on the sides of them. The guns here, I've got this line painted in rather crudely, but I've got that painted in. Lots of chrome on this. Lots of now these are very clean, but this is, I'm assuming this is before filming has started. Well, I'm going to stop for a while, maybe have some lunch, because I'm going to go nuts if I paint any more white, black, and silver. This thing is all white, black, and silver, and I've got to give myself a break. I did get some details done. I got some painting on the top and bottom guns. Freehand, by the way. Also got the door frames painted. Gonna let this dry. I'm gonna coat that with a clear coat, and then we're gonna cut out the vacuum formed clear windows, or the clear doors, and we're gonna put those in place. Now it's gonna be a good test for our ability to do this when it comes to do the front and back, or you know, the front and back of the main bubble. But that's got to be done, so that's the least impactful way to do it. So we're going to start with that. Alrighty, I've taken the capsule outside and put a flat coat of clear on it. The cockpit part, the C section with the pilot and all of that. And that's a good sign. That means we are starting to finalize things. The next thing, I just brought this back in. It's had a clear coat put on it. These have had a clear coat put on them. They are the doors. I'm going to call this one Jim Morrison. No. Anyway, I've got 3 of these pieces, and one of them has got a crack in it, so I don't think I'll be using that one. So we're going to start with these 2 pieces. And I'm going to map out a, see, it fits in just like that. It's kind of tough to see with it being clear and all, but it does fit from the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in place, and I think what I'd like to do maybe is that going to be the, yes, that will fit. That's a 3-inch, oh, perfect. That is just perfect. Okay, so that'll fit inside there. I could take a Sharpie and draw around the edge there of what I want to cut, and trim it out, and then we could put it in place with some microcrystal clear. Well, we've got the first one done. What I did was I took the trimmed piece and I sanded it up against the sanding block. I'll show you that with this second piece, but really what I need to do is kind of hold a decent amount of weight Give me something that's, yeah, that's going to hold a decent amount of weight while that, hold that into the frame. And since that works so well, I'll show you what I did with the second one. So I'll take the clear piece, put it into the frame, hold it steady so that I don't slide it around. We're going to mark the area of the vacuform. There we go. And we've got our circle drawn on there. We're going to cut this out. We're going to work up to it with a hefty pair of scissors because this is fairly thick clear plastic that these were vacuum formed from. We're going to cut across the, and we're working our way closer to that line with each pass. Okay, we're getting closer to it each time we go around. It's like cutting an onion, only hopefully this won't make me cry. Okay, we've got it trimmed out. Just going to run it on the sandpaper. Try to level out all the sides. And we're going to check it. Every once in a while we're going to check it. Oh, I've got plenty to take off of it. Actually, you know, I probably could just cut some more off. I was trying to be overly cautious because it's one thing, you don't want to cut too much of this off. Have it fall through your window, your door frame. That would be embarrassing. Yes, I know this is bad for the scissors. Scissors to me are an expendable tool. When they go bad, I buy new ones. I know some people are very precious about their that's why I don't put a lot of good money into them to begin with, because it's an expendable tool. It's like I don't put good money into paintbrushes because, you know, I'm going to use them and throw them out. But we're going to do some of this sanding. Well, I may do this a couple of times, so I'll come back when I'm ready to fit this. Okay, I got this one ready. It's beautiful. I've been running it over the sanding block. It's 150 grit sand paper. I'm just keeping nice even pressure on it. And the nice thing about that is that it evens itself out and puts a nice bevel on everything. Now I've got to clean the schmutz off of it and off of this. And what I'm going to do is what I found worked best on the last one, which is to glue the frame and not the window. Just do some smearage here, not too heavy. That should be enough to work its way around. Now the problem with this is there is no invisible part of it. That's the problem with this cockpit basically being a fishbowl, is there's no place to hide any, there's no fudge factor. It's all going to be visible. So you got to kind of be on your best behavior, because you might think, you know, I can hide the blemish in an area that no one's going to see it. Well, with this design, there's very, very little that you don't eventually see from one angle or another. So here we go. We are ready to very carefully line this up. Sit it in there. It's like setting a diamond in a ring. You know you've got good contact when you see all of the glue flatten out. And we'll be able to, anything that gooshes out, we should be able to clean from the outside. But I need to put something that's got some weight to it in the middle of that to hold it in place. And what do I have that's nice and heavy that will fit there? Let's see. We can put some tulip in here. And I'm just using the weight of the bottle. I'm not using any tulip, but I'm using the weight of the bottle to hold that in place. Hello and welcome. It is Wednesday. Work is continuing. You can see we're working on the front cage here. Now, I noticed when I was working with this a long time ago that it had a bit of a warp to it. And I was wondering how bad it was going to be. But what I needed to do was kind of heat up this frame and kind of re-stress it to these dimensions because it has a bit of a twist in it. So I just cut some toothpick or Q-tips here and pushed it out to the right squareness. Now the big thing we're going to be doing today is we're going to be cutting the vacuum formed front and back bubbles. We've only got one of these, each of these, so we want to do a good job on it. Now Randy had sent me his original masters. These are the bucks that he uses to vacuum form. And you can see how nicely that fits over there. But the beautiful thing about this is, because the one big mystery, the one reason I hate vacuum forming above all other reasons that I hate vacuum forming, and they are plenty, is that you never know exactly where to cut. Well, having these bucks here takes that mystery out, because I can see exactly what his intent was. I can see the line here. I believe this is the line that I want right here, but I'm going to cut it to this line to start it, and then we can work down if we need to. But that gives us a wonderful place to start. Here we have the same thing, but I'm going to just mark this, and that'll give me my line to start. And then of course we nibble away at these areas here to make them fit around the doorways, but that gives us a great starting place. So we've got those ready to go. I am not doing anything this morning because I am waiting for my buddy Dave. Dave, who runs KitCon. His family runs KitCon here in Raleigh, but Dave is the architect that is going to come over so we can kind of map out the carport reconstruction project. I am progressing on the back glass of the dome here, of the bubble up front, and part of me thinks this might have been easier to do before I had painted it black, because now I'm trying to see black marks against black plastic, whereas if I had done it at the beginning, it would have been against the cream color of the resin. But you know, that's the kind of second guessing you do when you're at this late stage. But what this is allowing me to do is to I've got it pushed up as far as I want to push it up. It's allowing me to see where my final marks need to be, and I can trim them to those final marks. Okay, I believe I have some success to report, at least on the back half. I've got, after many test fittings and incremental sanding and test fitting and sanding, I've got a back canopy on that meets the daily requirement of your vitamins and iron. It is it meets up with the body just right. I can put it on there and it looks fine. It comes all the way out and meets that center stock there, the center divider. It has to be pushed into place. We've got the shapes marked out on this front bubble, and we're going to do the same incremental sanding and all of that to get this down to shape. Okay, the front's going on ridiculously easy. I don't know whether I'm just, got more experience with it or am less afraid of it or what, but it's going on. I'm just doing a bit of cleanup here. Like I said, ridiculously easy. And I could pull that in and mark where I still have to do some trimming of the side windows. Now it's a bubble. It's vacuum formed. It's gonna have some little pocks in it that are gonna mar the finish. But very happy with this, and almost to the point where we're ready to close this globe up today. Wouldn't that be something? Now, to do that, I have got to make 9 times sure that I am happy with everything that's going on inside that chair. But I think what we're going to do is glue this front side down first and then mark everything off of that, because this is the one that really is in your face and has to be done right. So I think what we need to do is put the chair in. Well, no, I'm still not done fitting this thing yet. But I think put the chair in when we're done. Put the chair in, put the front on, put the back on, and then just rubber band all over it to hold it in place while the microcrystal clear sets up. That wasn't nearly as painful as I thought it was going to be. This thing is ready to be finally cleaned, so we'll give this thing a final cleaning. It's gonna attract static electricity. It's gonna be a constant source of dust collection, but we can clean it up. And now we are on last looks on this bit, and I can't think of anything maybe outside of, now I never really painted in the eyeballs. I left them as dark indications. So I need to take a long look at that, whether that's something I want to just do with a nice flesh wash and let the natural creases go in there, or whether I actually want to try to paint eyeballs. I don't think I do. I think right now it's like 99% there, and if I do something, it's going to go horribly, horribly awry. Well, I fell down a rabbit hole. I saw something, and once I have seen it, I can't unsee it. And that is, I think I'm going to end up making a second set of seat belts, or flying harness. This is the one that came in the kit. You were meant to get 2. This will work for Jack. And basically I was just going to see what color they were, and they are, I think, are a silver or metallic gray, which I can paint up and put there. But I think I'm going to put the stock ones on, make up something just to go on the other seat there, just to show the unused version. Just a couple straight strips, and then maybe a latch or 2 on them. But yeah, also I found out there is a white stripe, or a white accent, that goes all the way down around the edge here and on both sides, I'm presuming, and that is unfortunately one detail too far. I think I'm not going to go back in and try to repaint that. There's also the elephant in the room, which is the little Bob or Elvis that goes here. Now, Fred did send me a file, but frankly, warming up the printer to print something that's the size of a pin or a grain of rice, I don't see me doing that. So I think I'm just going to leave that off. I know it's a bit of a sacrilege, but it's something I am rapidly learning to live with, because I don't believe Randy included any greebly for that. Although I am willing to take one last look around before I write it off completely. I'll look in his greebly bag, but I don't believe there was an Elvis in there. Okay, I've got the belts in. I hope you don't mind the indulgence, but just something on that chair to make it look like there's something going on. And I put the other belt on him. It's maybe not as tight as it could be, but I like it. So now we are going to the next step. I have cleaned this front dome off very nicely, and Whew. I have to decide. Am I going to do that thing where I make this pivotable. To make that work, I would have to drill a hole right about the center there and sink a bolt. And then I would need to make a plug that's the same size as this, that would go inside of there, that would get glued into that recess, and that would allow the pivot here. I would need to make something exactly this size. Whether that would be out of wood or what, I don't know. Okay, it's going to be next to impossible to show this without highlights and reflections, so pardon those. But got the unit in the ball, no damage. Got the front of the ball nice and clean, and I've got that in place. I think I'm ready to glue this much down. I'm going to put the back of the ball on even if I don't glue it, so that I can wrap rubber bands around it and it'll be in the right orientation at least. The back of the bubble will give me the support for the front while it's setting up. I like that. Yes, sir. Not ready to glue that back on yet, but I certainly like the front. So let's get out the old microcrystal clear, because we're going to do a bunch of gluing. But that's, when you put this thing on the side, that's astounding. That's I know me, and that's better than I deserve. Okay, the front is down. It is drying. It is sitting in a bed of microcrystal clear. And I've got the back on just to give it some stability while the rubber bands are holding everything in place. But I think before the night is done, I will take the rubber bands off and glue the back so that the whole thing can be setting up all night. This is just a little bit of microcrystal clear on the outside that smudged. No problem at all getting rid of that. I am printing. I am seeing if I can fix this plug that I'm trying to make for the back. If I couldn't find anything to scratch build it out of, so I whipped up something really quickly in Cheeto Box to see whether I could print something that would go there. But man, I'm happy with that. And we've got our pilot in, and he's still able to swivel, so yay. Well, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday. It's the gateway to the weekend. How you doing today? Things are starting to come together quick and in a hurry on the Bubbleship. We've reached a place where I need to gloss coat this. I need to gloss coat this entire body so that I can paint back in some silvers on top of this. You know, if I gloss coat that and then paint silver on top of it, the silver will still be nice and shiny. What it is I've got to get ready to put decals down. Now there's a big number and stripe decal on this. There's some black accents that need to be painted on here, but that can happen after it's been sprayed. The silver here needs to be done after it's been sprayed. And then we'll put the decals down and then spray back over, just over top of the decals themselves. The landing gear, I did a bit of a revision on because I checked that video again. And I saw that I had painted the legs of the landing gear. I had painted the silver all the way out to here when in fact there's white on these tips. So I have just redone the white on that, and I'm ready to, like I said, I'm ready to spray some gloss on those. Now it's going to dull down the silver on the landing gear legs, which is fine because they really shouldn't be chrome, not chrome bright. So we're good on that. We'll put a spray over this. Get this tape off of here. My goodness, half of my life is spent removing tape. There we go. And this last bit up here. We'll get these ready for spraying, and then it's just going to be waiting for that to dry. And while that's happening, we can be gluing the doors down to the bubble. Now, it's a very distinct set of things that have to happen in a particular order. I have to spray the gloss on the guns that are top and bottom of the bubble. I have to spray them and get them done before I can attach them to the bubble because I don't want any clear coats getting anywhere near the bubble. So this is ready for spray and then touch up. This is ready for spray and touch up. This is the wonderful bubble work that we've done yesterday. Now, I have taken the rubber bands off of this. I got the front and back glued on. You still see a little bit of microcrystal clear that hasn't cured completely, but it's good enough for now. What we've got is a situation where we've got the door, we've got the guy able to swivel in here. This is the bit that I printed yesterday. Yes, I designed this in T2 box. It's a cylinder. It's a standard shape. All I did was make it the right size, but it acts like a wine cork when you sit it in there, and you can do your attitude adjustment this way and that way, and it's still stiff enough in there that it will sit. So we don't want to get any clear coats anywhere near this. So we clear coat the guns, then we glue them down. Once the guns are glued down, we can glue the doors on, because I need to be able to get inside to push this gun all the way down, and I can't do that with the doors closed. Got the big cross section, the big body has got a coat of clear on it, a gloss coat of clear on it. I have worked up these guns. They've got a gloss coat of clear on them as well. They're ready to join to the top and bottom of the bubble. So I need to clear off some space to start working on that bubble. And once I put the rubber bands on that and get those doors glued in, then I can shift back to working on the landing gear and such like that. But it's a bit of a madhouse around here today, so hope you don't mind the incoherent babbling. Sprayed the back of the engines with a little bit of semi-gloss aluminum, or semi-matte aluminum, and then some jet exhaust around the nozzles there. But I think those will look good. We're going to take the let that dry for a bit, and then take the tape back off. Actually, I can take the big tape off. I'll leave the vinyl down for a little while longer. I'll make sure none of the paint is wet on this tape when you're taking it off, because that's just as bad as, not putting tape on there at all. If it's allowing the overspray to get back on the nice clean white paint, you might as well have not had it. So we're going to let that sit and dry, and I think we may be ready to at least do one of the doors. So I've got the right side door glued in place, and I have got rubber bands on it holding it in the right position. And then I've taken some microcrystal clear and I've just kind of filled in this gap around it. And once this has dried and made a little bit of a bridge in there, then I will take a final pass of black tulip just to make that gasket look a little bit more finished. And I'll wait for this door to dry, and then I'll do the other door. I'm not kidding myself that it's going to happen right away. This is a fairly involved process, but we can let this one dry to the point where once the door is glued on and I'm just waiting for that sealer to dry, I'll do the same on this side and glue this door down. If I can get this to a point where the microcrystal clear has set up and I can put the tulip on it and leave the tulip setting up overnight, then by tomorrow this will be completely done. Let's see. The body has gotten its gloss coat on and I spray painted those. I'm going to use black vinyl strips to accentuate the panel lines. It's also going to cover up these rather not so delicate panel lines between the globe halves. And that's going to, I think it's going to make it look a little bit crisper and neater. If I were to try to paint those, I think it would be shaky and handholdy. But let me see what happens when I put these on. Oh, that's going to look nice. Yeah. And then I can finish the line along there. I like that. And that's going to give me a nice finished look to that. This has been glossed. It's ready for the decal. Now we've got this. We've got to cut out around the fin there. I have to decide which of the two numbers I'm going to use. I think I'm going to use the 49 only because it's got some color to it. And I'm getting kind of tired of using all of the black and, you know, black and silver and white, and I'd like to have some color. So plus the 49 looks a little bit sharper on this, so we can put we're gonna have to cut around. Sorry, let me get this out of the way. We're gonna have to cut around the fin here to put the 49 decal down, and I think I'm going to cut that apart there so I can just lay that one on by itself. Here's the thing. I'm putting the decals down because I want them to be drying overnight, and I centered the decal on the body, and I thought I had those two gray panels masked out symmetrically, but I must have missed the line. There's some very faint scribed lines that I thought I was following, and you can see how much closer this comes to than the other one does, and I don't like it. Obviously we're gonna have to do something. I kind of like how this one looks, so I think we're gonna try to make this one match that. It's just a question of how do we work around that wet decal so that we don't ideally, I would spray the whole area white again and then spray the gray back over it. But try to do that with the this decal being fresh. I don't know exactly the best way to do that, other than just, you know, putting a barrier over it like this and spraying the whole thing. It's not the most elegant way to do it. I mean, when you put that decal down the center, you start to see the off symmetry of this sculpt, because, as I said before, this is a hand sculpted thing, and it's a work of art and a beautiful thing, but it is not 100% mechanically symmetrical. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? It's Friday. It's the last work day of the week. It's the last work day, I don't know, on the Oblivion Bubbleship. Certainly, we're within striking distance of the end if we don't finish it today. It's exciting times around the temple today. Not only are we coming close to finishing the Bubbleship, but Jose and his crew are here. We're getting my first steps of the new reconstruction is happening. I'm getting my pad poured today for the the shed, the storage shed, which is phase one of the grand Tetrising. We have to get a pad port so that I can put a storage shed out on it, so that I can clear up space to convert the carport. So big doings today, big doings, and I'm going to try to stay out of their way, even though I'm such a construction geek that I'll probably be sitting out here watching them instead of working on this like I should be. But all goes well. I'll have a progress report to show you by the end of the day. I started today reconstructing this gray shape. This is the shape that I had in the wrong position yesterday, or it looks like I had marked off the wrong panel lines. What I did is I liked this shape a lot, so I traced it, took some tracing paper, and I traced it, flipped it over, and regardless of whatever scribe shapes may be in the hull, I put it, where it should be to be symmetrical to this shape, and I've retaped that. I pencil lined it in, and then I retaped it, and I'm going to be painting that in a minute. Right now I'm kind of waiting for Jose to get the backhoe or the bobcat off of his truck, and I am going to be out there walking the grounds to make sure he digs the hole in the right spot. So this is looking good. On the cockpit side of things, I am continuing to fill in the gap between the door and the rest of the ball with micro crystal clear. This that I did yesterday is dried in nicely. I'm going to put a coat of black tulip around there to dress up that edge, and then I could touch up the silver paint here, and hopefully that will be the end of working on this door. But I've got everything rubber banded in place, and I'm kind of, I can see where I've done a mistake there. Yeah, I cleaned that off. The thing is, I'm letting it sit, and when it sits, the glue tends to run where the glue wants to go. And luckily, this is microcrystal clear, and I can clean it right off. But it's right now I am letting the gap in here fill in, and then I've set it like that, and then we can put it in place when we're done. But it's coming along. It's getting there. One clear coat over all of this, and then I can do the final silver touch-ups and the black vinyl striping. Okay, I've hit upon an uncomfortable truth. I put this shape down, and I'm taking the tape off of it now to see how it turned out. And I'm liking the color and all of that. But I was so cautious when I was doing this to avoid touching this black decal. When I was spraying, I did, blocked it off and all that. But then I noticed here that this long strip of black decal is not sticking down. I breathed on it wrong, and the whole thing came up. And this has been sitting overnight. Now, luckily, it's a long stripe of black. I can paint that. I can repaint that and not have to worry about it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I just need to cut it at the base of this triangle here, so that it doesn't interfere with what's already been laid down. And then see how easily that comes up? That just didn't stick at all. And like I said, that sat all night over a gloss surface and everything. So I just think, well, I could try, since I do have another decal. I do have another one. It just depends on, I didn't want to use the 52 number. I used the 49, so I could cut this much off and try it again with this decal and see if it's going to stick any better. It does put me behind as far as timing. If I paint it, it's dry and I can paint over it, and I don't have to worry about the decal silvering or anything like that. I think I want to do that anyway, just for my own sake of peace of mind there. All I need to do is put 2 strips of yellow tape across that and paint that on there. You'll notice, importantly, it's sitting on its wheels. It's sitting up on its landing gear now. And it seems to be balancing okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to clean this area off real nicely, dry it off, And then we're going to get actually I could do that in strips of vinyl. It'll be cleaner than using a painter's tape. So let's do that. I'm kind of distracted, I don't mind telling you, because the ground has been tore up and they're putting the forms around it for the pour. It's about 9:45 now, and the concrete truck is due at 11. So he says he's going to have it all poured and the forms removed today. I don't know. I would rather leave the forms on overnight, but I'm not in the concrete business. So I have no concrete objections. We're gonna try that off. I've got some. I still have some micro set on there. So let's get that off and get ready to paint that strip back in. Okay, I'm getting ready to pull off the center strip. What I did was I took a measured strip of yellow vinyl, stuck it where I wanted the stripe to be, and I'm using that as a guide to put my tape up against it, so that when I remove the stripe, I have a measured distance here that I can paint with the black paint. So that's all masked and ready to go. I'm trying to stay off of that 49 logo because I really don't want to end up repainting the whole bloody thing. So let's get some black paint in the airbrush and get ready to do some damage. Okay, mission accomplished. We've got the stripe painted. Now I'm just going to let that dry for a bit before I remove the tape, with the possible exception of this area right up here around that decal. I don't want it to, even by accident, settle on that decal. So let's get this piece off. There. Okay, we're going to let that dry. Oh, there you go. One painted black stripe down his back. I got rid of the yellow stripe of cowardice running down his back, and we are ready to put a clear coat on this. There's a break in the action outside. I think we're waiting for the concrete truck to show up, and so now's a good time to spray and then quickly bring it back in the house. Okay, so I've clear coated, let the clear coat dry. We're doing a satin on top of everything, and now I'm putting the vinyl striping over the seam lines here. I started with the little V-notch there. That was just a square inside a square, and then you cut it on the 45 and you make a V out of it. And now we're just going to run this really thin black vinyl. Let me see if I can do this. Well, I probably need to put the camera up here so you can see what I'm doing. Does that help? Let me see. Yeah. Turn it around so you can see what I'm doing. Hello. Yeah, I'm just putting some vinyl tape here along this perimeter line. It's doing the job of hiding the seam. I've checked the making of videos again. It is there. Maybe not this wide in real life, but I need it to cover the uneven seam. And I'm just running the square end into the edge of the ball here and trimming the angle where it hits the V. Let's just shut up a minute and do this. It's kind of hard to concentrate and talk at the same time, so yeah, nothing too shabby about that. Now just trim this angle. The hard part at this stage is finding a stable way to hold this up. That's why I am working off of the top of this clamp bucket. the neck of this is still the most stable area to work from. Now it is true that this model, or this subject, has a great number of little handholds on it. And I don't have all of those handholds because, again, what I have is like one sample of it that has been cast, and then I have the master. So I only have 2 of those hand grips. So I'm wondering, is 2 better than none? Or, because I need 6 of them, I think. So is having only 2 of them gonna call out the fact that I'm missing the rest? Am I better off not putting any of them on there than to have too few? I could scratch build something that could function as those little grips. These are the guys I'm talking about, in case you, here we go. This is the master one. This is what I'm talking about. There's a bunch of these. And there's a couple of them that go on the back of the tail. There's some of them that go up on the fuselage. And again, it's one of those things, if I don't have all of them, am I serving myself by only putting a couple of them on there? That's kind of where I'm at today. Getting down to the end of it, but it looks like more drastic measures might have to be taken because for the 3rd time this tail has snapped off. And I think that means I'm going to have to pin it. I'm going to have to drill into this with this rod and drill into the other side and put a substantial support in there. So I just need to get a tiny drill bit and do some very precise drilling to get that into there. I think this is as big around as I dare go. So I need to get the drill and an appropriate bittage for that. Well, I am pleased to announce that Jose and his son just left. It's 2:30. They have left. I have 2 pads out in the yard now. Actually, I have 1 pad and an extension onto the driveway turnaround that I am supposed to stay off of for a couple of days. But we're done. That was a tremendously painless ordeal. And it is the first step in the great carportening. So now we have one more delicate operation, and that is we are going to be drilling both into the base of this piece here. We're going to drill down into that, and we're going to drill into this and put a brass rod through it with the goal of strengthening that joint. So pray with me. Oh dear Lord Makita, please let my drill be true. Let me drill straight and clean and not bust out the side. So say we all, amen. Okay, we've got our good juju going, so I'm just doing a little bit of cleanup, and this is the kind of stuff I do when I am stalling. When I am desperately trying to think of anything that I can do outside of the task at hand. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup here. And really, that once we get this joint fixed, that's going to be pretty much it for the body now. The head, the cockpit part, I have put the black tulip on the starboard window. I'm letting the microcrystal clear cure up a little bit more on the port window so that it does, it's still a little bit white. It hasn't gone clear yet, so it's not quite dry. But what we're going to do is, I'm not going to do this on camera. I don't have that kind of nerve. I'm basically going to be doing this, drilling down the, just eyeballing it down the middle of this. And I'll tell you, if I didn't already say it, if I did, I'm saying it again. This is because what we're using here is his master, and it's not necessarily as strong a piece as the resin cast version of this would be. So we're asking it to do a job that maybe it wasn't designed for. And that's why we need to drill it out and reinforce it. So turn the camera off, take a deep breath, and cross fingers and toes. That was a smart idea because it's already sitting a lot more substantially on the ground than when it used to be. It's a lot more stable. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get it ready to go on the actual printed base. Now this was one of Keith's pre-printed logo bases. Looks like this. Generously provided by the kind people at Spruverse. Phil had a base. He said, "Oh, wait a minute, I got a base for that. So let's use the base that I have." I said, "You betcha. You betcha I will use that." So we're just going to sit it like this. I know I don't like covering up the word there, but that's basically where it wants to go. And it also centers it very nicely by the time we put the cockpit on there. I'm just figuring out where to mark for the hole because we've got this brass tube. Sorry, it's hollow, it's tube, it's not rod. We've got that ready to come in, and what I want to do is make a little divot for it to catch in. Okay, that's going to work. We'll set this up here for right now. And that puts that pretty much right in the center of that shape, which is all kinds of bueno. Get something here to put up against so we're not drilling into the table. And I bet you my hole wants to be right there. And I'm going to start with a very small bit and then put a larger bit to it so we don't scare it and shatter the hole. We just warm up to it gently. A couple of finishing touches. The main aerial back here I've put in, and I just realized from checking that video again that the sail there is mostly black, but it is white on the tip. I had it all white. I had to fix that. So now we take the front, we plug it in, and we call it Yankee Doodle. Yankee Doodle, Yankee Doodle, Duty, Yankee Doodle. We call it Yankee Doodle. We put a feather in its cap and call it Yankee Doodle. That's how the song goes. Oh, it's been that kind of a week, kids. But here we go. We are, with the possible exception of doing some streaking, griming on it, this is like the brand new version of the Bubbleship, and after it's been in the movie for a while, after Tom's had his filthy way with it, we start to see streaks coming down from here, from when this is in the downward position. When it's like this, you see it, and there's streaking running down it. That's something I may yet do. I have not done that yet, so I'm going to call this finished, even though we do have a little bit of aging we could stand to do to it. But that's it. That's the Bubbleship with the turning here, the all of the zippity doodah features here. We can spin the cockpit. We can turn the guns right and left. We can make a regular roller coaster ride out of it if we want. But we'll send everything back to center. And I think what I'd like to do now is maybe take the camera outside, show you what got done today, and then we'll come back in here and wrap up a few final thoughts. Exciting stuff, but here is the new pad. It is still wet. I'm not going to scratch my fingers into it. That's tacky, and I'm above such things. But this is where the storage shed's going to go. Isn't that thrilling, kids? Now, I know you want to see all the boring details, but that's the storage. This is where the storage pad is going to go. And once we do that, we can start the big Jenga / Tetris of getting stuff moved into the carport. And let's take a small walk to, well, I'll cut it here and then we'll go to show you the extension on the driveway. Thrilling stuff. Here is the extension onto the driveway. Now, if you thought that watching paint dry was thrilling, that's nothing compared to watching concrete set up. Yeah, buddy, you don't get much more exciting than this. So I just want to keep you guys in the loop, because this is the humble ground from which the next renovation springs. And back to more familiar surroundings. This is the Randy Cooper Bubbleship. Now, I was very happy to be able to get the masters from this, since that meant that Randy was not going to be producing anymore himself. I think, even though it would mean still having to vacuum the bubble, I think Randy would be well suited to recreate this in 3D and make a 3D printed kit out of it, or sell the parts. I think it's a wonderful design. I think he did a hell of a job with it. I'd hate to see it go the way of the dodo, simply because he's not casting resin anymore. But there you go. See, it's got, I mean, if you look down the barrel of it, it's got some symmetry issues, because, like I said, it's a sculpture more than it is a model kit. And there are things that need to be, allowed for, because, like I said, it's a sculpture. It's not a mass-produced kit. But I really enjoy that. Really glad I'm adding this to the collection. There we go. Say hello, Tom. And thanks again to Fred Lewis for providing me the wonderful Jack figure. Tom Cruise as Jack in the movie. But yeah, that's the Oblivion Bubbleship. Hope you enjoyed it, watching this as much as I enjoyed making it. And that's going to bring us to the end of this week. What a packed week this was. Between getting stuff in the mail, I got the replacement saucer for the Voyager this week. That was the big news. Also got my order from Keith, half of my order from Keith. Still have the big Liberator from coming. And we'll be getting into that later in the summer. Those big kits. And of course, the big news is, we're finally breaking ground, literally, on the carport renovation project. So, fun times ahead. I hope you'll stick with it and stick throughout this summer and enjoy the adventure as it happens. But for now, y'all be good, be safe, be smart. Get outside. It's beautiful out there. And come back next week when who knows what we'll be working on. Something different. Maybe, maybe a figure. Something that is not white. Something that is not black and white and silver all over. But yeah, we'll be up to our usual shenanigans. So I hope you can join us then. See you next week.